New York Fashion Week just finished, so strap down because we are going to review the best and the worst fashion shows of the season. Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's Tomas sharing all my thoughts on fashion, lifestyle, and anything else that comes to mind. I'm here every Wednesday with some scattered uploads on Sundays, so hit the bell so you're notified every time I upload, and thank you so much for joining me this week. We have started Fashion Month officially. It is full throttle ahead. New York Fashion Week just finished. So as you guys know, if you have been watching me for a while, this is actually only the second time I've been doing this, but I cover all the major fashion weeks and do fashion show reviews. Spoiler alert, I am not a huge fan of New York Fashion Week. I actually think a lot of the shows could very much just be presentations. So I have my list here. I actually only have 8 shows out of however many shows showed. I do want to kind of keep the negativity to like a little bit, not too much. Just my mom always taught me, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. So if I don't mention the show, it's probably because I didn't like it, or there's nothing really constructive for me to say about it. I also do want to focus more on smaller designers. I mean, how many times in my videos can I say that I don't like Kim Jones at Fendi? I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. So this video will be a little bit different. I do want to keep it to maybe some more unknown designers that I personally really loved. And I love to show you guys new talent that maybe you've never ever heard of. So let's get into it. This will probably be a long video, so strap in, get a snack, get a cocktail, get a drink, and let's get right into it because there's absolutely no time to waste. We are gonna start with Grace Ling. So I have to admit, I actually didn't know who this was. Some of the influencers I follow on Instagram, like Tamara, posted going to her show. Caro Dar also went to the show. So that kind of piqued my attention because I was like, okay, well, I should probably know who this is. So Grace Ling is an American designer. She is quite young. I think she's only maybe like 3 or 4 or 5 seasons in. I went on her website. It looks very professional, so I definitely think that she has a good team behind her. I mean, everything was purchasable. Like, I looked on the website and there was like a lot of stuff. She does these really cool like butt mini bags that I really liked. So she definitely has the business side to her brand kind of already there, especially for such a young, fresh designer to already have a business on her website, which you can buy from, is pretty commendable. So when I first saw the show, I feel like Grace Ling, the aesthetic is very metal focused, but also really edgy, kind of couture-like pieces. I wrote in my notes that this is very American and Baumeister. This show kind of focused, in my opinion, metal with fabric. So, you know, there was a lot of dresses that would have this kind of sculptural stainless steel bodice at the top, and then it would be like a jersey skirt on the bottom. I also feel like the show got like a lot of press. You know, there were a lot of top models walking it, like Alex Gonzani, Precious, Neelam Jill, Ashley Graham also walked. So I definitely think that she has the hype aspect to the brand already there, which is actually really great with a new designer. Now the press and all the hoo-ha is great, but at the end of the day, you really have to kind of deliver with your collections, whether there's nobody at the show or everybody at the show. A lot of the looks were definitely gothic focused. I really love this kind of vibe of like a long trench duster coat with a mini skirt and a bra. I mean, at the end of the day, this does feel like kind of elevated party clothes. You know, those like little club girls, I feel like would totally be down with this brand. I don't particularly see anything like this in the American market, which is probably why people are so excited to be seeing Grace kind of doing her thing at New York Fashion Week. I really don't see a lot of kind of stainless steel reworking from other brands, and the way she does it is actually really, really clever. She'll add like little kind of zippers and metals to the pieces or to the hems of the dresses, which I think is like a really clever way of kind of adding her branding to each single piece. One of the standout pieces were these liquid dresses that just seemed like it basically someone spilled a cup of water onto you, and it just kind of, it's really cool tailoring, very see-through kind of tank dress that I really, really liked. I really loved the kind of mix of couture with kind of ready to wear, ready to hit the shops and buy. For example, there was this standout piece. It is kind of like just a metal stainless steel kind of covering the model's breasts, and then it turned into this really flowy kind of red skirt on the bottom. I thought this was really clever. I thought it was almost like, definitely could be couture, definitely could be red carpet ready. I mean, for a celebrity that kind of wants to, I feel like I definitely see them maybe like Megan Fox wearing this. For somebody that wants to be outside of the box but still look really sensual and sexy, I feel like celebrity stylists could definitely be turning to her for a little bit more of an edgy kind of vibe to the red carpet. The thing is with young designers that they kind of show their skills, not necessarily to produce the ready to wear. However, I was really impressed with how cohesive and impressive the whole collection really seemed. You know, for example, this little set set that Meredith Doxbury walked in. It is a green like kind of jacket with a blazer bodice to the bottom and then matching shorts. I mean, produce this times 100 and send it to retailers, it would 100% sell. So I was really impressed with how it seems like Ling is already kind of years ahead of her business, because she already has the website, she already has the e-commerce, she already has the ready-to-wear pieces that are instantly sellable. So I was just watching this in awe. I actually think this is one of the standout shows from New York Fashion Week. I was just impressed with the whole brand and the whole show. Is it really my aesthetic? Absolutely not, but I really think for like a smaller designer like this, I actually thought I was really impressed, and I was like, this is actually really, really great work. So hats off to you, Ling, the debut of New York Fashion Week. You already had everybody there, all the top models, and it looks like you don't need any help. Your business is all ready to go. So I was very impressed. This was one of the best shows of New York Fashion Week. Brandon Maxwell has become a staple of American fashion, especially with celebrities. He used to dress Lady Gaga and many other celebrities. I have never really thought of Brandon Maxwell kind of really having like a signature item or signature bag, signature shoes, signature ready-to-wear piece. But I do think he is, for the most part, a good designer. I'm not a huge fan of the previous collections, but I really loved this particular one. A lot of the focus was on white, and to me it felt very virginal, very kind of demure, classic girl that is also still kind of downtown it girl kind of vibe. I really love the kind of focus on separates. To me, it does really look like he's trying to build a cohesive collection that can be bought at retailers. So you can even notice with the styling. In this particular look 4, which I really, really loved, we see a really classic like jersey turtleneck that you could probably just recreate this from Uniqlo, with panties and then this crystal skirt on the bottom. So you can definitely see how there's a lot of focus on merchandising the collection. You know, as an American brand, you don't necessarily have to be outside of the box and be very haute couture, in my opinion. You can kind of just keep it a little bit low-key and just focus on product. You can notice as you keep going on to the collection, he's adding a lot of accessories like belts. So there is a lot of focus on merchandising and just making product that would sell. I really, really love the kind of sportswear ode to like Donna Karan vibe. So in this look, we have like a little jersey cardigan with a very simple jersey skirt that you can actually scrunch up and button it up all the way, or you can kind of fold it over, like, you know how girls do that with their jeans. So there's a lot of focus on sportswear, and I think in America, we tend to be a little bit lazier. We tend to be maybe not as fashionable as Europe, who would dress up to go to the grocery store. So I think Brandon Maxwell kind of has the vibe set for his clients. There were some really, really hot standout pieces and also really, really clever styling. So in this look 11, I really love this kind of chambray, like kind of like origami kind of tulle skirt that he actually added to the bottom of the top, and then added some really classic pants with a matching jacket to it. It's quite clever. I mean, would the normal luxury consumer do this applicable to their life? Probably not. But in this instance, the kind of mix of inventive styling with really wearable pieces was actually really done well, in my opinion. As we go on, we do get a lot of separates that are really easily sellable. You know, we keep going on with this idea of the jersey skirts with the button-up long sleeves. You can wear them all the way up to the top, or you can kind of unbutton them. I'm noticing bags, I'm noticing sunglasses. I mean, I don't know if this would be a collab with a sunglass brand, but he is definitely rounding up the business. As we all know, accessories are the bread and butter of a brand. So, you know, to kind of develop shoes, develop handbags, and sunglasses is actually really, really smart. I've actually been on the Brandon Maxwell website before, and I have noticed that they have been producing shoes for a while. I mean, I don't know if they send these to stores, or if you are on the website, you can buy them there, but he has actually been producing accessories for a while. Then again, I'm not really seeing any Brandon Maxwell signatures. If I ask someone on the street, like, what do you think of when you think of Brandon Maxwell? I don't particularly think anybody would have a cohesive answer, just because he's kind of always maybe focusing too much on trends. I do think the collection was very strong. One of the strongest he's had, to be honest, in like a very, very long time. He's been doing this for quite a while. It's obviously working for him somewhat, but I just like really want him to kind of develop the Brandon Maxwell brand and really just take it further, because I know that he can do it. He is pretty talented. But yeah, for the most part, I thought it was like a pretty great collection. Okay, and then we get to my absolute favorite, Alaïa by Peter Mulier. He actually moved the show to New York. He showed it at the Guggenheim Museum. I'm sure you guys have seen all the TikToks of Rihanna coming in late at the very last minute, shading Naomi. It was like a huge fashion moment. And I personally think Alaïa is one of the most sublime brands out in fashion right now. Like, I think we should literally all be aspiring to be Alaïa girls. And the show was nothing short of spectacular. In my opinion, the show was actually very, very focused on American sportswear as well, like Brandon Maxwell. It just felt to me very, I actually said this to a friend, it was very like kind of American Skims, which I thought was clever because, Alaïa is kind of almost a couture house. And, Azadine Alaïa really focused on taking care of every single piece and just fitting it in the studio, making sure that it fit perfect. There wasn't really a focus on seasonal collections like spring, winter. It's like when the collection was ready, then we'll show the collection, So there's a lot of focus on detailing, but then we see these opening looks of a classic jersey bandeau with a tennis skirt, and you just think it's like the utmost chic. I mean, throw on a leather jacket to this, and I think Hailey Bieber would be one of the few to kind of pull this look off on the street. I really, really like this, quite clever. These earrings that would then turn into a necklace at the bottom, I mean. The first few opening looks on the top models, I was just obsessed with the thong, like mule sandals and these jersey skirts, the bandeaus. And it just felt to me like such American chic from a brand like Alaïa that wouldn't necessarily focus on this, because if we've seen the previous collection, there was a lot of focus, even like last fall 2024, which is just absolutely insane, like structure, and all the pieces were just built off one string of yarn. And then you look at this and it's just very basic, but it's really the almost elevated basics that you could have. I actually really like the styling trick of the bag kind of crossbody and then on like your back. I thought that was really, really clever. We get into these looks of a lot of the jersey. And I mean, one thing about that I feel like Peter is doing really well at Alaïa is that he's really branding his signatures to the collection. So a lot of the skirts will have dropped waist. So if the waist starts here, then he'll make the waist of the skirt start a little bit lower. I think that's like a really big signature of Peter at Alaïa. A lot of these kind of duster coats, he's been doing them season in, season out. Here we saw it in denim. It didn't really work that well for me, in my opinion, just this particular piece. It looked a little bit kind of like IMG, if I'm being honest. It just wasn't really, I mean, a lot of the collection was very, very cohesive. We had a few faltered pieces like this denim duster coat. I wrote here that this felt like a really big casual luxury vibe that is very unique in Parisian brands. I feel like when we go to Paris and when we go to Milan, the focus is on utmost luxury, like grandiose. Like you go to a Dior show and it's just the utmost, there's nothing casual about a Dior show. But then when we looked at this Alaïa collection, it was very just throw on and go. You could do a jersey bandeau with a denim palazzo pants and it's still really, really chic, but still very casual. So I really appreciated that, for a French historic house, it wasn't so like aggressive. Like it didn't need to be like in your face so much, if you guys know what I mean. And then we get into these beautiful coats. I mean, they are reminiscent of last fall 2024, all probably made of one yarn. I mean, these kind of like marshmallow coats in the pink and the white, just freaking stunning. I mean, it's absolutely insane that Peter is able to kind of make every piece look like a tour, but when you look at it, it just looks very, very casual and very simple. I think with a lot of brands, they really don't understand how to do simple well. I mean, for example, the Row does very kind of incognito simpleness, but this is very like in your face simpleness. This collection just means so much to me. Genuinely, you guys, I was like obsessed. I like keep watching the video. It's just so good. Now, if I do kind of get into stuff that I didn't like, a lot of the evening wear wasn't really that well done for me. I mean, I want to point out these dresses that were basically like, picture like if you had like breast pads, like booby pads, and then it like goes into the dress. So I'm not really sure how this dress worked, but it would basically cover the boob and then it would kind of cover the front, which I'm just gonna say, one windy day in New York and it's game over, because like there's an opening on to the front of your crotch. So do you wear underwear with this or do you not wear underwear with this? Do you wear just like a pad or something? Because like this dress is stressing me out. To me, it didn't work out. Like I can almost see these models hoo-ha. Like there's no way that this can be worn on the street, because like what happens if it's windy? What happens if it's raining? Like it's really game over. So this dress was confusing for me. He did it like 4 different times. So like he definitely believed in the dress. For me, it just didn't really work out. Yeah. I was just so impressed. I really am a huge fan of Peter at Alaïa. I get so excited. It brings kind of like what we used to miss from fashion, just really loving fashion. And I feel like I don't get that very often. And I got this from Alaïa, and to have this at New York Fashion Week, which usually doesn't produce these moments very often, was so special to watch. So hands off to you, Peter. You are like eating. This is absolutely just incredible to watch. Now let's move on to Tibi. Now I feel like Tibi low-key doesn't get the hype that maybe like Totem or Khaite get, because Tibi has actually been a long standing part of New York fashion. Honestly, I think it's almost been like 15 years. It's kind of replacing what I feel like, you know, it's funny how Phoebe Philo doesn't even do Phoebe Philo anymore, and I feel like Tibi kind of does what Phoebe Philo kind of did in Celine, especially for like a really, really great price point as well. The thing with Tibi is that a lot of the success honestly just comes down to great styling. We saw a lot of great styling ideas here that I really, really loved. For example, this kind of like long white skirt with an oversized button down that you tucked into it with some loafers. I mean, that's so easily recreatable with whatever you have. I feel like Tibi kind of caters to maybe the 28 to 38 woman in New York that obviously has money, can't really think about what she's wearing every single day, but also has an air of fashion sense. And I actually think Tibi perfectly encapsulates that client. This was a really, really great collection, you guys. I mean, I feel like I want every single piece. I can't really speak to the quality of or the fit of Tibi. To me, it feels like the designer does tend to focus a lot on fit, which you can see. I mean, I feel like a lot of it is really perfectly draped to the body of the models. There were some styling ideas I personally did not like. For example, she did this weird, I don't know if the whole set or if it's like a one piece, this kind of sweatshirt with a belt on the bottom of the hem of the waist, and then it turns into the skirt that feels like shirting kind of what I'm wearing. I mean, a lot of it was like a little bit awkward, but I think this just proves that Tibi should really just stick to kind of being the staple for really great luxury basics that you can kind of style in a more fashion forward way. For example, if we talk about Theory is just very wear to work, just wear the whole outfit. You can't really dress this up in a more fashionable way. But to me, Tibi kind of gives you that space for the creativity when you're getting dressed to kind of really wear the Tibi piece, but you can also style it up in a more fashionable way. In my opinion, I feel like a lot of these pieces don't necessarily warrant a fashion show. I mean, if at the end of the day, I'm just gonna go into the Tibi boutique and mix and match all the pieces, to me, a fashion show is probably not the most necessary, but I don't know if maybe a lookbook would be most effective, but I guess you do want to see these pieces in motion. These finale dresses pieces could definitely be a running for maybe like a casual film premiere for the red carpet. This kind of billowing cape-like dress with the red boots. I thought this was really creative. I thought this was kind of like a little bit off kilter, but still manages to be really luxurious. So if a stylist is watching this who deals with celebrity dressing, this would be a really, really great dress for maybe like a cocktail opening, or if you're going to do the rounds, the lunches at Cannes Film Festival. I have to say, like, I don't know if you guys have started to look at TV, but this was a really great contender for a red carpet look. And I have to admit, like, this was a really great collection. I mean, TV is always hands down probably one of the most consistent and coherent brands at New York Fashion Week. So I think it's time Tibi gets her flowers. This was a really great standout collection. Okay, so I didn't want to focus too much on negativity, but I have to talk about a show that honestly really, really confused me. And it's funny because this brand has been a staple for it girls and fashion girls all over Instagram, and it's Khaite. So here's the thing with Khaite. A lot of it just doesn't feel, I don't know what Khaite is. That's the problem. Every time I look at a new Khaite collection, it looks like something else from the previous collection. It's easy to compare to the likes of Totem, The Row, etc., etc. But I just don't understand it. I mean, if you guys know the history of Khaite, it actually started off as like a diffusion brand at the Line by the apartment. It was this like specialty designer boutique in New York, and Khaite was like the diffusion line. So like example, if I go the Frankie shop, if I go shop at the Frankie shop, there's a lot of designers, but then there's also the Frankie shop. And Khaite started off like this. And now I really don't know what we're doing. Honestly, you guys, like all of this just looks like something else. This off the shoulder kind of bralette dress top just looks like The Row. I've seen this from The Row many, many times. And it's like we're forcing the Khaite girl to be sexy and edgy. And I feel like you're trying to tell me that the cake girl can solve a mystery, but I actually don't believe you. For example, this like lacy top with the matching pants, I've actually seen Jill Sander do this many, many times. And every single season, it just looks different. They do this whole moody, kind of edgy runway setup where I can barely see the collection, just to kind of give it some oomph and give it some like personality to otherwise honestly really boring clothing. I don't understand like what we're being so hyped about. There were some really, really awkward pieces. This like poncho with like organza like see-through thing was just a disaster. I was like, I literally have no idea what this is even meant to be. We also took the organza to a lilac dress pant thing. It's so awkward, it's so unflattering, it's so not fashion. So I mean, I don't know, it's definitely not for me. I'm not the one that's being a client at Khaite, and obviously they're doing really, really well, so obviously they're doing something right. Just for me, I don't see the hype behind it, and I have to say I really, really did not like this collection. Moving on to Tory Burch. Now, I feel like Tory Burch has kind of been a respected woman in the fashion industry, especially in American fashion. I don't know if you guys remember, but she did have like a scandal back then in like 2015 about her copying designs, but you gotta give it to the woman, or you gotta give it to whoever is designing. In my opinion, I think she probably hired some Europeans in the design studio because, first of all, there's no way she designs it. Are you kidding me? Tory Burch is at brunch right now having champagne while I'm filming this. Okay, Tory Burch has nothing to do with the brand. You can tell by this collection that she probably hired some Europeans to kind of consult on it or design a lot of the pieces. This doesn't feel like American fashion to me, which I actually really, really liked. I think it's cool to be kind of that American designer that is giving customers kind of the aspirational European jet set aesthetic, mixed in with a little bit of a cool girl Stockholm vibe. And I have to say, this was like a really, really great collection, you guys. One thing about what I do wonder about the Tory Burch business, because a lot of it is built off these really cool bags. I actually do like them, and I mean, they're priced really comparable to Coach, like $600, $700. And you know, those like classic, like auntie kind of like thong logo sandals. I wonder if those clients would ever feel inclined to shop the higher end of the ready-to-wear other handbags, or is it kind of like Michael Kors where there's two clienteles? There's the Michael Kors collection clientele, and then there's like the lower price line. So I mean, do we have any Tory Burch stores in here in Toronto? I think we do have one. I really wonder, like, how does the business work? Like, is this just for press, or are people genuinely going into buying like the runway ready to wear? But there were a lot of really great ideas here that again seemed very European to me. We have to talk about these standout blazers with the two-tone lapels and the belted. Again, very, very European, but I really thought this was like a really, really cool, trendy way of kind of trendifying American fashion. I mean, some really, really great pieces, you guys. Like, I have to really admit, like these long sleeve turtlenecks with the loose trousers was very chic. It kind of reminded me of Victoria Beckham a little bit. A lot of sport jersey dresses in burgundy and black that kind of go see-through at the skirts, so you can wear them with panties. I know it's like maybe a little bit adventurous for the regular Tory Burch client, but you know, somebody could wear this to a cocktail party with panties and feel like it's kind of like an update on the little black dress. It's funny because for an accessories brand, I didn't really notice any kind of standout bags or shoes. A lot of focus on this was from the clothing, and I was kind of just focusing on the clothing. And yeah, very, very well styled, honestly. Like these kind of little short crop tops with this really, really gorgeous chiffon white skirt. So chic, you guys. I was like impressed. I was like, I've never felt like Tory Burch was this chic. And I don't know, maybe they've hired a new stylist, they've hired someone new in the design studio, but this was like chic, you guys. I was like really, really impressed. This has to be one of the standout looks for New York Fashion Week for me. And we are getting to the last show of New York Fashion Week. I don't know if you guys are maybe surprised that I've only talked about less than 10 shows, but again, I really, really just want to focus more on positive shows that I liked. I mean, if you wanted to hear me talk about all the shows I didn't like, it would be like a 35-minute video, if I'm being really honest. So I thought this video, maybe I'll do it a little bit differently and just really focus on the brands I really did like. So we are gonna finish off New York Fashion Week Spring 2025 with Melitta Baumeister, who I actually have been a fan of literally for 10 years. So she actually used to do these really cool, edgy, gothic, oversized denim pieces. And I used to be a really big fan. Actually, when I lived in London in 2015, I actually applied to be her intern. I think her studio was in London. And then I was like, oh, I actually have like no qualifications to like intern at your business. But I was a huge fan, okay? I literally was like obsessed. I wanted to be part of the Melitta Baumeister world, and I'm really glad that she has been able to sustain her business. She has actually won the LVMH prize before, so this probably helped. I believe she won it last year, but I really like this collection because it shows us that she can actually design outside of her usual denim kind of aesthetic. She does focus still on the oversized, and I think it's funny because now that we are still kind of in the demure and the kind of quiet luxury aesthetic, nothing this kind of structured and aggressive and oversized would maybe sell, but I love that she's kind of sticking to her guns. A lot of it was sports focused, kind of throwing back to that football theme. So we see this kind of, looks to me like leather oversized jersey with the number 0 on it. So this kind of throwback to the athleisure that is still feeling very luxurious. I loved it, you guys. It kind of reminded me of Comme des Garçons a little bit, fall 2012, with the kind of like doll, like 3D kind of figurines, and kind of harks back to that CDG. I don't know if maybe I'm just making the reference too literal, but this was a great show. It's very street style focused, and I feel like a lot of brands lately haven't been very street style focused. To me, it feels like we're shifting away from that, and I think it's because with the economy being really bad, we don't want to feel embarrassed that we're spending money on luxury. This is why Laura Piana, Max Mara, Celine is doing so well. It's because there will always be a luxury consumer, but now it's like you want to whisper that you're spending money on luxury because people can see it as poor taste. These eccentric yellow, like canary lemon looks are just so good. I absolutely love it, and I've been such a fan of Melitta for so many years, and I'm really happy that she's been able to sustain, especially being an American brand, and how difficult it is to produce and run your business as an American brand, and I'm just so happy. The finale looks that Offset walked, it is this, I mean, it looks like pleather, it doesn't really look like real leather, but again, this oversized jacket, kind of harking back to those classic Junya Watanabe leather jackets. I mean, I feel like I even had one like 10 years ago when I lived in London, and then I like couldn't fit into it anymore, so I had to sell it. But there's a lot of references to Japanese fashion, in my opinion, this kind of oversized, structural, stiff aesthetics, and I'm just in love with it. No other designer is kind of doing anything like this, which I have to admire. I love that she is sticking to her guns. I mean, another brand that I have to really admire is like Ashley Williams in London, who has kind of been running this kind of kitsch 2000s aesthetic in London for like the past 10 years. So I always appreciate when a designer like sticks to her guns, is able to show us that she can kind of do a little different vibes from her brand, but at the end of the day, it all kind of just sinks back to the heart and the aesthetic of the brand. And this is one of my favorite shows. I really love it. One of my favorites, and I'm really happy to finish off this video with that collection. You know what's funny? I always say that this was short, and now I'm gonna look at the footage, and I know I just talked for 35 minutes. I only talked about like 7 shows, but again, this time I'm gonna do it a little different. I wanna focus on more young designers. I wanna show you guys new talent, because it's all well and done and I can talk about a Gucci collection, but at the end of the day, I'd rather focus on younger talent that I can kind of introduce to you guys. And I hope that you guys really like these analytical fashion videos. Make sure you guys like and subscribe and comment down below which one was your favorite show of New York Fashion Week. Stay tuned, because obviously we still have London, Milan, and Paris. I feel like Milan and Paris I might have to do like 2 parts, because there is just so much content to talk about. But thank you so much for sticking with me and always watching. I really appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys next week, or maybe a secret Sunday upload. Who knows? Actually no, probably next week, because I'm going on vacation. So, but yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.